Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going over some tips to help you push your Nani to rank 30. I did it in solo showdown, but you can really do it in any mode. And the first tip that I'm going to be giving you is how to just survive. Because the main thing that you want to do, and more than just solo showdown, is to survive as long as you can. But you also need to be useful, especially in the 3v3 modes. Because in solo showdown you can camp, but in 3v3 modes you have to be useful, but you also don't want to die. Now here in solo showdown, this round, I really had to avoid being pulled by the Tara. And I just stood here for a really long time, and if I walked either direction or tried to shoot that Tara, she would have just used her super on me and one-shot me. So I just had to wait it out. I used the shield star power and the return to sender gadget. I find the return to sender really good, especially when there's a bee trying to shoot you with that charge shot. You can actually deal like 2,600 damage back to the bee. I also find return to sender is great for maps in solo showdown with the juice, the power juice that makes you deal double damage. Now here, I just always go the opposite direction that the Tara is going, so that way we never meet. Now another thing that you need to remember with Nani is that your shots don't end where they meet. They go a bit further. So what I normally do is I try to make the shots meet a bit before where the brawler is, so that way I find it hits way more often. But also that it really helps because if they dive you, they're going to take a lot of damage. And if they run away, they're still going to take a fair amount of damage, but it won't be quite as much. That's fine. Now as for Peep, Nani's super, you want to use it typically when you know that no one's going to attack you where you are, or no one's going to stun you. Because if a BB attacks you or anything like that, it'll just cancel your super, and you will almost always lose that fight. So I always try to make sure that I am safe where I am, and I also like to have the return to sender gadget activated while I'm using my super, because I find that also makes people not attack you as much. But also, the issue with people, what I find hard to use with him, is that it takes so long for him to turn. So you really want to push people into a wall, and then hit them up against a wall, because I find that a much easier shot to make. Because if you miss, you can hit that wall, and the explosion will automatically do the aiming for you almost. I like to save Peep for when I know that I'm going to take a large amount of damage. For instance, if I'm in a thin little alley, and I know that Piper is going to get like 5 shots on me with her extra damage star power, I'll sometimes just use Peep because I take like 80% less damage while Peep is activated. So I find that will often be able to tank all of the Piper's shots. And then when she runs out of ammo, I typically end that super off. And then I can push that Piper pretty easily just because she's out of ammo. Or I use Peep to actually hit that Piper, which will make her run away either way. But I mostly use Peep for that shield. I don't normally actually hit people with it. If I was doing a 3v3 mode, I would honestly probably use the extra damage star power, but again I would almost always use return to sender gadget, because that gadget I find is way better. You also need to remember meta. Now in 3v3 modes, the brawlers that you're going to be facing are like Mr. P, you got some Byron, a little bit of Piper, and then a bunch of Stu as well. So you really want to learn how to defend yourself against those brawlers, because that's what you're going to be facing most of the time. Now in solo showdown, it's mostly going to be BB and Stu. So if you know how to beat both of those brawlers, you'll make it way easier to push. You also want to know your teammates well, and how people around you are going to play. If you can pinch people with your teammates, that will make Nani way better. Because I find Nani really great for pinching people, especially with that super being able to make people run around walls and stuff and move. So that way you use your Peep, make the enemy brawlers have a predictable walk pattern, then your teammates can easily hit the brawlers while they're trying to dodge your Peep. Yeah, my first mode that I would suggest pushing him in is actually solo showdown, but of course that's my personal favorite mode. Then I would probably do bounty, and then last, but actually least, I would probably do gem grab. Now, but I'm not a huge fan of Brawl Ball, so I don't see why Brawl Ball wouldn't work. But I'm just not a huge Brawl Ball fan myself. Anyway, that's going to be all for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you comment below if you have any other questions about how to push Nani. Subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time.